World-renowned science fiction writer Arthur C. Clarke is a longtime friend of Rosen's. Some of Rosen's concepts were built upon Clarke's 1945 predictions of a satellite system that would relay radio and television signals all over the world.
If a satellite is placed in a circular orbit 22,300 miles high, it takes a day to circle the Earth. If its velocity is eastward, it will stay continuously over the same region of the world. If the orbit also lies in the equatorial plane, the satellite will remain stationary in the sky. Such a satellite is widely considered the ultimate for communications. SYNCOM 2 was the second of the three similar flight models. It was 28 inches in diameter and weighed 147 pounds. Around its cylindrical shell was a bank of solar cells for converting solar energy into electrical power. The apogee rocket motor was installed in the center of the spacecraft with its thrust axis collinear with SYNCOM's spin axis. SYNCOM 2 was launched on July 26, 1963.
A few days later, this satellite, dubbed SYNCOM, inaugurated international satellite communications in a transatlantic hookup between Washington and Nigeria.
Prime Minister? Yes? It's a great pleasure to talk to you from the White House. Send our very best wishes to your people and to you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Another SYNCOM was launched in August of 1964. It initiated the transmission of live TV programs on a global basis.
A torchbearer with the Olympic flag. This is Robert.
Both SYNCOMs were...
Prime Minister? Yes? It's a great pleasure to talk to you from the White House. Send our very best wishes to your people and to you. Thank you, Mr. President.
You are listening to the first two-way live telephone conversation between heads of state via satellite.
I hope that this is the beginning of much closer communication between Nigeria and the United States, and indeed between the whole continent of Africa and our continent, our hemisphere.
The satellite carrying this historic conversation is SYNCOM 2, the unique communication satellite developed by the Hughes Aircraft Company and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. SYNCOM's uniqueness is due, in part, to its unique orbit. If we could see the satellite, it would appear stationary in the sky, hovering, apparently, at an altitude of 23,000 miles. Actually, it is racing around the Earth at a speed of 7,000 miles an hour, completing one orbit as the Earth completes one day.
All right. Roger. Raise transmitter power to 4 kilowatts, please.
Roger. Will do.
Aside from its unusual clarity and lack of distortion, the transmission from Lagos is significant because it is being relayed more than 45,000 miles through space via SYNCOM 2, the world's first successful synchronous orbit communication satellite. With the launch of SYNCOM, the world's first synchronous orbit telecommunications satellite. Those first SYNCOMs were not large by today's standards, having only one television channel or 50 telephone circuits. But in those days, they were giants. On the 26th of July, 1963, SYNCOM was successfully placed in a geostationary orbit above the Atlantic Ocean. A year later,
SYNCOM, Synchronous Communications Satellite, a high-altitude satellite that stands still in the sky, a type that can provide continuous, uninterrupted, 24-hour-a-day telephone and television communications. What is meant by a synchronous satellite? It's a spacecraft that is launched into a circular orbit 22,300 miles out. At that altitude, its speed just matches the Earth's rate of rotation. It is, in effect, parked in space and appears to hang motionless above a given spot on Earth. Initial SYNCOMs will be small experimental versions with a single two-way voice channel. The advanced SYNCOM will carry as many as 4 radio repeaters, each capable of handling up to 300 two-way telephone channels or 1 television channel. Thus, 1,200 phone calls or a combination of 600 phone calls and 2 TV programs can be carried simultaneously.
Scientists, engineers, and technicians who sent this satellite into orbit on the 26th of July, 1963. And since that historic day, SYNCOM's accomplishments have been extraordinary.
SYNCOM, which was designed and built by the Hughes Aircraft Company for the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, weighs only 79 pounds. Yet it contains a complete redundancy of communications equipment. That is, it has 2 of everything for instant switchover operation in the event of equipment failure. The equipment includes receiver transponder and transmitter transponder, with traveling wave tubes, telemetry, and command equipment, and because SYNCOM is in sunlight 99% of the time, batteries that take power from the sun. SYNCOM was spun into orbit. In other words, it rotates on its own axis by spin from the 3rd stage booster rocket. The vehicle was positioned by orientation jets so that the antenna beam always points toward the Earth. The antenna radiates a pancake-shaped beam that blankets the Earth. On the opposite side of the antenna is the apogee motor nozzle. The apogee motor was used to put SYNCOM into a circular orbit.
SYNCOM has even been used to relay a commercial television broadcast, which goes beyond the original objective of the design. SYNCOM 2, of course, is only an experimental spacecraft. Far more advanced SYNCOMs are on the way. While these will soon steal the limelight, they cannot overshadow the historic accomplishment of SYNCOM 2. For improving the feasibility of the synchronous orbit satellite, it has materially advanced the era of reliable worldwide radio communications of high quality and low cost.